If you're in the market for a brand new full-size pickup truck, well-known models like the Ford F-150, Chevrolet Silverado, and of course the Ram 1500 quickly come to mind. That particular segment of truck literally makes up the brunt of all new car sales here in the United States. And Ram has always consistently been number 3, right behind its two American rivals from Ford and General Motors. Now, back in 2019, Ram introduced the all-new 5th generation 1500, really raising the bar in this segment, especially if you guys really value luxury, technology, and of course capability. Now, with new rivals coming in from both Ford, GM, and even Toyota for 2025, Ram is finally giving its 1500 its first significant refresh. And as you can see, on the outside it gets some new styling tweaks, on the inside it gets some new technology, but above all, underneath the hood it gets a brand new heart courtesy of a twin-turbocharged inline 6, giving us the most power in the half-ton pickup truck segment. So as you can see, this week Ram has loaned us this 2025 Ram 1500 in the limited trim, which is one notch below the new tungsten. And the big question I want answered, for those of you who are looking for an everyday workday truck with a healthy dosage of luxury and technology, how does the latest version of the Ram 1500 stack up? Stay tuned to find out. So while the exterior styling of the latest Ram may not look all that different if you guys own the pre-refresh version, the big story, of course, has to be what's going on underneath the hood, because the company has replaced the beloved Hemi V8 engines. In its place, however, I think is an engine that a lot of people are going to find a lot to like with. It's the company's new 3-liter twin-turbocharged inline 6. Now, underneath this big plastic covering, you're going to see a nice badge there that says Twin Turbo, and that's because this engine is known internally as the Hurricane engine. It's a 3-liter gasoline direct injection, double overhead cam, twin turbocharged inline 6. They also call it SST for straight 6 turbo. They also offer it in 2 different outputs. So the base output will offer up to 420 horsepower. However, this is the high output motor that comes standard on the Limited. It really ramps up the power to 540 horsepower and 521 pound-feet of torque. That's of course courtesy of more boost pressure. Ram says that this motor is pumping in a maximum of 28 pounds of boost pressure at the max, which is very, very impressive. It makes this the most powerful gas engine that you're going to find in its class. Of course, that's of course if you're excluding the Ford Raptor R with its supercharged V8. As you guys also know, the Ram TRX has been discontinued, which means the old 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi V8 has also been discontinued. In its place, however, is the Ram RHO, which also has this powertrain, which we'll be driving sometime in, I believe, December or January, so very, very soon. It all goes out through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and the truck is available with either rear or a combination of a full-time 4-wheel drive system with locking differentials, depending on if you guys go for the Rebel or you guys go for the RHO. This is the Limited, so it has a more road-going version, but it still does offer a low-range transfer case. Fuel economy did improve slightly for this straight 6 turbo. It's rated at 15 in the city and 21 on the highway. That is, of course, on premium gas. The high output version is designed to run on premium. If you guys want to run it on regular, get the standard output version with its less powerful engine output. In terms of the range, this vehicle has a 33-gallon fuel tank, which is massive. It's good for around 550 miles of range, of course, depending on certain driving conditions. Now, the company claims this model should get to 60 in around 4.7 seconds. We'll test it out when we get the vehicle out on the road. It has a top speed of around 118 miles an hour, and this is still a truck. It can certainly do truck things. This particular one that we're showing you can tow a maximum of 10,770 pounds. It can haul a little over 1,300 pounds of payload on the bed, and as this truck sits, it weighs in at just a tick under 6,000 pounds. This generation of Ram technically got around 100 to 200 pounds lighter versus the prior 4th generation. But let's go ahead and close up this hood here and talk about the exterior styling. Now, as you can see, my test truck here is a very classic color combination of white with a lot of the chrome accents. The Limited trim that I'm showing you here is 1 notch before or technically 2 notches before the top spec tungsten. Above this would be the Limited Longhorn, which has more of like a country western theme. The Ram Limited trims have its own unique grille, and as you can see, it also has the upgraded full LED headlights. Now, these headlights, as you can see, in addition to having a projector style for the LED low and high beams, you also have sequential LED turn signals. These headlights also do a nice little welcome sequence animation whenever you lock or unlock the vehicle. The big Ram logo, as you can see, front and center. Also is a nice spot for the camera that's mounted at the front. I don't love the chrome on this trim. You can get a night package to black out the chrome with black trim, which I would probably add myself. You can see down here at the lower end, there's fog lights down there, LED fog lights, along with some very nicely exposed tow hooks. You've got also their latest version of Ram's hands-free driver assistance tech, which actually allows you to go hands-free. It's basically their version of Super Cruise and Blue Cruise. But overall, the truck styling is definitely an evolutionary change compared to the pre-refresh model. You're really just going to notice it in the grille and in the new light signature, the LED lighting, which is definitely a much more upscale touch. Now, this vehicle was first introduced in 2019, like I said, and it's built off of a new body-on-frame architecture, one that it shares, of course, with the Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. You can see this particular one that I'm showing you is the crew cab long bed, which means we have the 6' 4" long bed. There's also a quad cab, which is kind of their version of an extended cab, although the hinges for the rear doors are mounted at the front as opposed to the rear. The longer bed means this is one of the biggest trucks that you're going to find, with an overall length of around 242 inches long with a 153.5-inch wheelbase. So again, this is a big vehicle. It's around 82 inches wide. It's definitely going to give you the space and capability that you're looking for in a big full-size truck. Now you can see this limited trim also comes with these massive 20-inch alloy wheels. It's riding on a 275 by 55 R20 Bridgestone Dweller HL tires. You can also get this with an all-terrain tire. Ram says this truck also has the biggest brakes in the segment at just over 15 inches in diameter, 4-wheel disc brakes. The Ram also continues to be the only truck in this segment with an available 4-corner air suspension. This model has it, of course. It can basically raise and lower the vehicle a couple inches for a maximum of around 10.5 inches of ground clearance, around 8 inches when it's in its normal setting. You can see I really appreciate how the limited trim has some painted, body-colored wheel arch trim. There's again a badge over here that says SST for straight 6 turbo. HO stands for high output. You can see a lot of chrome here along the side mirrors. Those are also power folding with integrated turn signals. There's also a camera mounted underneath there. You can see there's a subtle little limited badge there with more chrome. If you guys black out the chrome, you can also get that as an option as well. You can see there's also chrome along the window trim. My particular test truck is also missing the panoramic style sunroof. I believe that's an extra 2,000 bucks at this price point for this limited. It should honestly be standard. And as you can see, looking at the rest of the profile, this is such a huge truck that I literally have to back up so much just to show you guys the entire vehicle. But with that longer bed, it definitely gives you a little bit more space to carry stuff in the bed. In fact, if you guys go for the shorter 5'7" bed, it'll also include their Ram box, which is actually a lockable area here on the side of the bed that gives you some nice storage for tools or use it to be used as a cooler. The longer bed actually deletes that, as you can see, so you have more utility in the bed. You can see moving around the rear, the taillights have been updated slightly, but you really need to park the truck next to the pre-refresh model to notice it. You can see there are full LED taillight as well, LED brake light, reverse light, turn signal, and such, which is nice. You have a nice dual outlet exhaust, as you can see, coming out of the back, which I really appreciate how Ram does a dual chrome exhaust tip. This engine, again, brand new engine that we first saw in the Grand Wagoneer, and it sounds pretty good, but it's certainly not going to replace the V8. I'll go ahead and fire it up so you guys can hear how it sounds real quick. Now, if this engine here is too quiet in this particular trim, Ram has introduced the RHO, which should have its own performance exhaust system. I'll be driving one of those soon, very soon. So hopefully Ram is able to wake up the sound a little bit, because straight sixes can sound really good if paired up with a good exhaust system. Now, this particular model here that we're showing you has the multi-function tailgate. As you can see, it kind of has like a 60-40 arrangement with the bed itself. The bed is also power opening and closing, which is nice. You can see if I push that, the bed just kind of nicely falls down. It reveals a really big amount of space, obviously, in the bed. There's this particular model, as you can see, also has the spray-in bed liner with the trifold tonneau cover, which is nice. If you want, basically close that, you can push down on that. You can see it opens up the bed this way in a barn door style, which I actually really love this feature. You can also open up the side over here. This basically allows short people like myself to access stuff within the bed without having to climb up over the sides, which is nice. You can see there's a bunch of tie-down hooks in here. There's LED lighting, which is nice. Surprisingly, what I don't see, however, is an actual power outlet back here. So that may be available as an option, but this bed, like I said earlier, can carry a maximum of 1,370 pounds of payload, which is a pretty usable amount. But if you guys are looking for, again, the bragging rights in this segment, that's where some of its rivals do offer a little bit more payload capacity. And again, this multi-function tailgate does compete with, you know, something like the multi-flex tailgate that's like in the GM Twins, and then Ford also has their version of a barn door style tailgate, which again, I think is a really great feature. It really makes accessing the pickup bed a lot easier. Now moving on to the interior of the 2025 Ram 1500. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the current intelligent access fob that is standard on this limited trim. It even reminds you from the fob that you have the limited trim, which is kind of nice. It's a nice size key. It has a lot of buttons on it for unlock, lock. You can also open up the tailgate. You can also lower the air suspension, activate the remote start, and then the panic function. Ram also offers your phone as a key as well if you guys are an owner of the vehicle, so that's definitely a nice touch. Whenever you lock the door, you can see the mirrors will also electrically fold in. This vehicle, however, does not offer an auto walk-away lock feature, which is something that you will find on some of the competitors. But as you can see, approaching the door handle, it's a traditional door handle. You just touch the back of the door handle, that unlocks the door for you, or touch that little area there, that's what will lock the door for you. And then you can see with the limited trim, it has these power retractable running boards, which help short people like myself get in and out of the truck, and also is nice because it stows away and is out of sight when you guys aren't opening the door. Now you can see my particular test vehicle has the black leather interior. This is, I believe, the upgraded leather that you get with the limited trim, although if you go up to the tungsten trim, you get an even higher quality leather with different interior colors available. This black interior with the contrast stitch and piping certainly looks nice if you guys prefer that darker theme. I much prefer a lighter theme. The Longhorn version, I believe, will offer like a brown leather interior or saddle color, which would be nice. These seats, as you can see, adjust in 12 different ways. They're heated, ventilated, and massaging, and you also have a 2-person memory function. Go for the tungsten trim, and you'll also get a 24-way power adjustable seat, which so it offers a little bit more adjustability to kind of help you get a little bit more comfortable. You can see even the limited trim includes some really nice materials. You have real leather over this upper portion with contrast stitch. You have genuine wood trim, more of that nice leather here with this aluminum accented door handle. There's a nice padded leather area here. Down in this lower portion, however, it is hard touch plastic. You can see nice storage in both of the door pockets, which is nice. And then you can see with this trim, you also get a 19-speaker Harman Kardon premium sound system, which is a little bit different versus the Macintosh system, I believe, or not the Macintosh, the Klipsch audio system, I'm sorry, that's in the tungsten trim. So kind of keep that in mind. If you're an audiophile, you'll get more adjustments, and you'll also get more speakers with more power when you guys go for the top tungsten trim. Now getting inside, you can see that there's a nice little grab handle here to kind of help my short people like myself get into the truck. But once you kind of get settled in, it really gives you that nice commanding view of the road. When I shut the door has a really solid sounding thunk, which adds to that impression of quality. Sadly, however, no soft closed doors. I don't think the tungsten gave you the soft closed doors, but honestly at this point I can't really remember, so I'll have to double check that. Now, once you're inside, that noise you heard is the running boards retracting back in. Start stop button is right here. It's thankfully not blocked by the steering wheel. You can see the engine itself is so quiet. In fact, you barely hear it start up. It's not a mild hybrid though, which is something that the old Hemi had, which had their e-torque function. I'm actually surprised it's not a mild hybrid e-torque. Ram basically said that technology was not necessary for their new straight 6 turbo because it has the fuel efficiency that they were looking for, but I actually think it could have been improved if they just added that feature. Now you can see, being the limited trim, you have lots of screens in here. In fact, you have a 12.3-inch fully digital cluster here, which is slightly customizable. I can kind of put the map display here if I want. I can kind of go to your tow information, audio information, go to like your screen setup here, go to a traditional dial look to it, so that's pretty nice. Over in the center, you have a 14.5-inch touchscreen, so it's a little bit larger than the pre-refresh model, which maxed out at 12. This also includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It does again have Uconnect 5, which, as you can see, Uconnect 5 is starting to show its age. It's a little bit slow. As you can see, I'm going through the different menus and it's just a little slow to actually change the menu there. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm hoping the software will be upgraded at some point. This vehicle also comes with their full surround view 360 camera. As you can see, it's still a little bit slow, but the graphics and resolution is fine. Once it actually populates, it's pretty nice. There's also different auxiliary cameras, although that one's not unavailable because it's not actually hooked up. But again, that all takes a little bit of getting used to with the big plethora of screens, but at least you have tons of hard buttons and knobs, which is nice. And then over here, On the passenger side, you can see there's another 10.5-inch display, which basically allows you to connect to a video source here, an HDMI. You can also control the audio. You can go to different alerts and controls here. This is not visible when I'm over here on the driver's side. You can see there's a filter that doesn't allow you to see that until you're actually sitting right here in front of it. I personally think these passenger displays are a little gimmicky. The Ram is the only truck in the segment that offers the passenger display, so Ram very much likes to tout the fact that they have the most screens available in the industry. There's also a nice heads-up display over here, which allows you to see very useful information ahead of you. And then in terms of the dashboard materials, you can see beautiful leather, real leather stitching over the entire dash. You have this kind of carbon fiber metallic look trim in addition to the wood that was on the doors. You can see over here, it's also leather and leather here, which is really nice. The steering wheel, I don't love the way the steering wheel looks. It's a little bit large, but it does have, this definitely feels like a fake wood. It also does not have a power tilt telescoping mechanism. That's, I believe, included in the tungsten trim. That little sensor bar there is for their hands-free driver assist technology, which I had a chance to use it. It actually works pretty well. It's probably on par with Ford's Blue Cruise, but not as good as GM's Super Cruise. No paddles on the wheel. Instead, if you want to take manual control, you can do so from here, from these little buttons, as you can see. Lots of additional buttons here to control that. To control the adaptive cruise with your audio switches behind here. The horn, it sounds pretty nondescript, but at least it doesn't sound puny. It sounds appropriate given the size of this truck. And then over here you can see this is your drive or your transmission selector. If I rotate it here, it goes into reverse. All the way to the end, it goes into drive. All the way to the left, it goes into park. I actually like the way this feels. It's real. It's made of real metal. It feels really chunky. It feels high quality. Your drive modes or your basically your four-wheel drive control is over here. Most of the times you'll have it in an automatic setting. There's also a two-wheel drive mode, a neutral mode, and you can go to 4 high, 4 low. You can also turn off your auto start stop with your axle lock there, which is kind of nice. And then if you're looking for your drive mode selector, it's located here on the steering wheel. So when I push that, you can cycle between a snow, a tow, a sport, an off-road, and an auto setting. So if you guys go for the RHO or Rebel, I believe you'll get a few more different software settings there. To basically allow you to get better control of the vehicle. Your headlight controls are down here. This vehicle also has power adjustable pedals to help you get a really nice comfortable driving position, which is great. And then over here you can see big center console storage area with tons of USB power outlets. There's a total of 6 right here, in addition to that HDMI plug for that little passenger screen over there. This area here offers a little bit more in terms of storage. You have a wireless phone charging, 2 wireless phone charging pads here, although I will say that my phone wasn't working that great when I was connected to it. So try it out yourself, see if you like it. You can see, open that up, there's some nice cup holders. You can also move this back or move it forward to reveal more storage over here, which is kind of nice. Love the adjustability here, along with the nice leather trim that you get as well around the side. There's also a nice big limited plaque here to let you know you have this top or higher end trim. Open this up, you can see top level storage here. Another USB actually over there. If I open it again, you can see this is where you can slide this forward and reveal another deeper storage area here, which is all very nice. There's a lot of customizable storage in here. There's also a little divider here that I can pop open to kind of keep stuff from sliding in and there, which is kind of nice. More cup holders over here. And then the seats, they basically feel super wide to accommodate people of wider frame, but they're nicely padded. They don't hold you in place during cornering, but they are very comfortable to sit in, so that's nice. Open up the glove box, you can see it's a bin style. It's damped, but not lined with felt. There is some LED map lighting in here, a woven material here. Wish my test car had a sunroof that would have let in a lot more light. It's an extra $2,000. But overall, as you can see, the interior of this truck definitely feels like the most luxurious. It has a plethora of screens. It's got great tech aside from a laggy Uconnect 5 software, which I'm hoping Ram will update at some point. But overall build quality of this truck is also pretty good. It feels incredibly spacious. I can't even reach to the other side without leaning over to kind of grab that area, so it kind of shows off the width of this truck, which at 82 inches wide is definitely one of the widest you're going to find in the segment. In terms of the rear view mirror, I forgot to mention it's also a digital camera mirror, which is perfect if you have the vehicle or the truck's cab loaded up with a bunch of stuff or people, which is nice. But overall, as you can see, the interior is definitely a nice place to spend time. But let's go ahead and hop into the backseat area of this Ram 1500, and it's definitely huge. You can see when you guys go for the crew cab, there's actually 2 coffee bags in there, which I totally forgot were sitting back here. Ignore that. I'll have to move that around sometime later. You can see the space back here is huge. Now, first of all, this Ram does offer the ability to kind of recline these seats. You can basically recline them by pulling on this lever here, and it basically just pulls out. which is really nice. Or you can also just lift this seat up over here, which again, kind of shows you just how much space this area has, where if you want to put some stuff back here, that's really nice as well. You can see if you want to pull this seat back down, it's a little hard to do with one hand, but that allows it to flip down. You can see material quality also is the same high quality stuff back here with the actual stitching, the wood, the leather over here, which is nice. This is all hard touch down here, but the windows, I forgot to mention, they are one touch up down for the front, but not for the rear. The rears are not one touch up down, which is a little disappointing considering the price point of this truck. Now getting inside, you can see there's a handle here. And then once I kind of lift myself up here, you can see there's tons of space. Now, once you're back here, Ram says there's around 45 inches of legroom back here. 45 inches is definitely on the huge side. This is definitely among the most space you're gonna find in the segment. And like I said earlier, if you pull this, you can actually recline the seat a little bit, and it also pulls the seat actually forward a little bit, which is really nice. The limited trim also includes heated and ventilated second row seats. So that's a really nice touch. You have 4 more USB charging ports. You have rear seat air vents back here. You have a 12-volt power outlet, which is nice. And then if you want to fold this down, you can see there's a big armrest with some additional storage. You can also open this window up by sliding it from that little button over here, which is nice. The truck is so damn wide that you can easily fit 3 Americans across. In terms of the headroom, you can see it's just tons. I have like an extra 4 or 5 inches of clearance over here, which is absolutely fantastic. So again, if you want to use this as a family vehicle, the Ram 1500 is among the best that you're going to find. Love the fact that this trim also has heated and cooled seats. I believe the tungsten trim includes the retractable sunshades, but still, this is definitely among the best back seats you're going to find in the half-ton segment. So it's been several months since I've been behind the wheel of the fully revised 2025 Ram 1500. Remember, this truck has been around since 2018 as a 2019 model, and even though it kind of is getting a little bit old in terms of getting a major redesign, Ram has introduced some significant upgrades to keep this truck fresh in lieu of new competition, of course, from Toyota, from Ford, from GM, and it's still a wonderful truck. First impressions in this limited trim, I'm driving the crew cab, which has the longer 6.5 foot bed with the new Hurricane straight 6 turbo engine. This is the high output motor delivering 540 horsepower, 521 pound-feet of torque. I would go down and say that this is probably the best gas powertrain that you're going to find in the half-ton light-duty segment. I mean, this engine replaces the Hemi 5.7, and it is just a worthy replacement for that motor. It also makes this Ram one of the quickest accelerating trucks you're gonna find. The company claims this model should do 0 to 60 in around 4.5 seconds. The last time I tested one, I did 4.7 seconds. So we've got the truck in sport mode. We've basically got it in 4-wheel drive auto. Let's go ahead and see what we can get on our usual stretch here. I'm anticipating this truck will be pretty quick. So we'll go ahead and we'll brake torque it. Ooh. Holy smokes, this thing feels fast. Whoa. 0 to 60 in 4.09 seconds there, so 4.1 seconds. And I have to say, guys, it actually will build up the revs to around 4,000 and bounce off the limiter to basically build the boost. So it's almost like this truck has launch control. And rocketing to 60 in just a smidge over 4 seconds is absolutely insane. I was not expecting it to be that fast. I mean, Ram says 4.4 seconds. It is almost a half a second, or technically 0.3 seconds faster, and it feels quick. It actually gave me a little bit of that like tunnel vision in my stomach when I first put my foot down. I was not expecting to feel that sensation. But this truck is faster than basically an F-150 Raptor with the EcoBoost V6 engine. Not the Raptor R per se, but the Twin-Turbo V6, and that's just absolutely phenomenal. Let's try it again here. Oh, with all-wheel drive, it just grips. Ooh, 4.26 seconds there. That's with it more going slightly uphill. I actually think I'm gonna try it one more time up ahead. I feel like I can get closer to 4, but that's just insane. It's absolutely mind-boggling how fast this straight 6 twin-turbo inline 6 is for a truck that weighs about 6,000 pounds, and we also have it hooked up to a phenomenal 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. Even though it's down 2 gears compared to the competition, you don't really notice those 2 gears. This transmission is smooth, it shifts quickly, it's responsive, it puts the engine right in the meat of the power band. Every time I put my foot down, there's just torque everywhere. So you don't even have to launch this thing to get it to feel quick. Anytime you just put your foot down, it puts the engine in that, sweet spot of the torque curve. And remember, we have 540 horsepower, and I suspect that number is conservative. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing is probably making 540 horsepower at the crank, or at the wheels instead of at the crank. So that is very impressive. The other great thing about the Ram is this is the only truck in the segment that still is available with a 4-corner air suspension. It was also the only truck that has coil springs as opposed to leaf springs at the rear, independent front suspension. This has the best ride quality in the segment. It feels like I'm driving a Grand Wagoneer luxury SUV. I mean, the Grand Wagoneer is an awesome driving luxury, 3-row body-on-frame SUV. It's no surprise that it's built based off of the Ram 1500's cab, or not cab, the frame, body-on-frame design, and it feels smooth, it feels refined. It's not sporty per se. No truck really is in the segment, but it just feels like I'm piloting around in a luxury vehicle. Now, I will say that this truck could use 4-wheel steering because it has, again, that longer wheelbase. We've got basically a 242-inch overall length vehicle. This is huge. This is a big vehicle when you have the longer 6.5-foot bed. But it's certainly more useful if you guys plan to tow and haul heavy loads. You want to put more stuff in the bed. It's definitely nice. It's so quiet and refined in this thing. I literally feel like I'm driving around in a luxury SUV. That's the feeling that you get when you're driving around these higher trim versions of the Ram. So I think that's a wonderful thing. Let's try another acceleration run here. Oof, goodness. 4.29 there, so we'll take the 4.09 as our quickest time. Again, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I mean, obviously you don't buy a truck to do 0 to 60 runs in, but if you're trying to smoke the guy in the Tundra iForce Max or the F-150 Power Boost or the 6.2 liter GMC Sierra Denali, I mean, this is the truck you're going to want to be in because it just offers so much power, so much grunt, so much refinement. It also has it's also a pretty easy truck to drive. I mean, sitting here, I'm getting a massage in these 12-way leather bucket seats, which feels really nice. Visibility out of the Ram is also pretty good. I can see out of the front, the side, and the back. Well, actually, I've got the digital camera rear mirror on, but when you don't have it on, it actually gives you a decent view out of the back. Turn that on, however, and you just have tons of visibility from the rear. I will say that this A-pillar is on the thicker side, which I don't love. But the steering in this truck is really smooth, it's responsive. It actually is very quick response as well. So aside from the soft suspension, which shows lots of body lean, this thing is just really easy to drive. It's really easy to see out of. It's really quiet in here. The engine, that's the one thing, is this straight 6 turbo engine doesn't make much in terms of noises. The old V8 definitely had a more guttural sound to it. This just sounds smooth and refined, but it also loves to rev. This engine is a revvy straight 6, which kind of gives me the feeling of like a BMW engine, just minus the sound. It has the torque and the acceleration of a BMW straight 6. But you can tell that Ram put a lot of money, time, and research and development into this new straight 6 engine. So I'm looking forward to seeing this engine in vehicles like the upcoming Charger, for example, that Dodge will be showing off a gas version. They'll be introducing a gas version. This is a phenomenal motor that Stellantis pretty much, pulled out all the stops, and they outdid themselves with this powertrain. But in terms of fuel economy, this engine is rated at 15 in the city and 21 on the highway. In my week's worth of driving, I averaged around 16 mpg and mostly city driving, which is pretty good. On the highway, I was able to do better than the EPA's number. I got 22 mpg, which is not that much better, but it's still pretty good. Remember, this is still a big 6,000-pound truck that is lifted up. It's not the most aerodynamic vehicle, but with its 33-gallon fuel tank, it's a big gas tank. You're going to do around 500 plus miles of range. I was doing around 510 in my actual testing, which is excellent. I mean, this thing has really great cruising range. It is designed to run on premium gas, so I would not put regular in this thing. You're going to have to put premium if you want the high output version. Go for the standard output. I suspect you'll probably lose maybe about less than a second, maybe 0.8 seconds 0 to 60. So you don't even necessarily need to go for the high output version, but hey, if you guys want the extra speed, the extra bragging rights, it's certainly going to do so. The one sour thing with this truck is the infotainment system. It is the biggest screen in the industry. Ram likes to say it has the most screen real estate in the segment, but the software behind the screen is laggy and slow. I definitely noticed that it would freeze, it would be sluggish to respond in my week's worth of testing. So the software needs work, which Chrysler's Uconnect 5 system used to be among the best in the industry, but they've definitely been showing that they're kind of falling behind The all-digital instrument cluster looks nice. The leather on the wheel feels good. The seats are also plush and comfortable. They basically feel like you're driving around in your favorite living room chair. So it's an excellent thing if you guys are looking for plush seats. They just don't hold you in place really nicely during aggressive driving. And then your drive mode selector is right here. I've been driving it in sport most of the time, but most of you are probably going to drive it in auto mode. That's going to put the transmission into its higher gears a little bit sooner. It's going to make the suspension a little bit softer. It'll raise the vehicle up as well. In sport mode, it'll lower the vehicle as well. But overall, I'm just blown away. The Ram 1500 was one of my favorite trucks to drive when it first came out 5 years ago, and for 2025, it's still very much the case. If you're looking for a truck that feels more like a luxury SUV or a luxury vehicle, you should definitely continue to put this one at the very top of your list. And now you can also say this is the quickest accelerating vehicle, minus the Ford Raptor R, which has a supercharged V8. Now, with just under 450,000 units sold in America last year, the Ram 1500 was again solidly third place behind rivals like the Ford F-150 and the Chevrolet Silverado. The GMC Sierra was technically number 4, followed by the Toyota Tundra. So obviously, the Ram 1500 is a very important part of this segment. In fact, in Stellantis's portfolio, this is their best-selling vehicle. So obviously, when they're making changes to something like this truck, they don't want to go too far into the void to kind of alienate their core customers, but I think they've also made some strategic changes here. First of all, the engine, that brand new heart, that 3-liter twin-turbo inline 6 is just an absolute gem. As you guys saw, 0 to 60 happened in just over 4 seconds, which again is the quickest accelerating truck that you're going to find in the segment if you exclude the Ford Raptor R, which honestly is not that much faster, only about a half a second faster. So Ram has an overachiever of an engine. I wouldn't be surprised to see that it was probably putting around 540 horsepower to the wheels. It's probably making more than that at the actual crank. The interior, of course, has their biggest infotainment screen yet, a 14.4-inch display, which is the largest in the segment, but I have to say the software behind it, Uconnect 5, does need some work. Thankfully, software can always be upgraded over the air. And when Uconnect 5 first came out a few years ago, it was definitely at the top of its game. Now it's starting to feel a little bit slow and laggy, so that's something that I'm hoping Stellantis will work on at some point. The seats are extremely comfortable. The luxury features that you get with the limited trim certainly make this truck feel again like the Mercedes-Benz S-Class of trucks. However, if you guys want the Maybach version of trucks, that's kind of where the new tungsten trim comes into play, where you'll get even more power adjustments. You'll get an even higher end audio system. You'll get its own unique styling. The tungsten trim is also going to push you well into the over 90 grand price category. I love the fact that this model that they gave me is the longer bed, which I found to be far more useful if you actually need to do a lot of truck things. The back seat in this truck is also the biggest in the segment with over 45 inches of legroom. Build quality of this model seemed good. And really what the Ram excels at greatly is the ride and handling balance. Because of that coil spring suspension with the 4-corner air, this is still the best riding truck that you're going to find in the segment. And I love the ability to kind of raise and lower the suspension. So again, this truck literally feels like a Grand Wagoneer when you're driving it down the road, which is not surprising because the two vehicles are the same. They ride on the same body-on-frame architecture. They have the same powertrain. So again, if you guys are looking for the luxury version of any of the half-ton trucks, this one should easily make it to the top of your list. Just be sure you're okay with the fact that Ram doesn't offer any kind of electrification and this truck in general doesn't have the highest towing and payload capacities, but of course that's always something that all the other brands are fighting over, is who can have that biggest bragging rights. But if you're looking to basically put this truck at the top of your list, well, in terms of pricing, this truck has definitely gotten a lot more expensive. The base price of the Ram 1500 starts at just over $40,000. That is a couple grand more expensive versus a lot of its rivals. In fact, a Ford F-150 starts at around 36 grand. A Chevrolet Silverado is also around 36 grand. Even a GMC Sierra starts at around 38 grand. So the Tundra is going to start right around the 40 grand mark. So it's one of the reasons why I think Ram sales have been dropping over the years, is because their cars have just gotten a lot more expensive. Their trucks have just gotten a lot more expensive. In fact, if you guys want this trim here, it's going to cost you at least $75,000. That's like 75 grand. Most of the higher end Laramie and up trims of the Ram are going to start at around $60,000. You could get into a Bighorn for around 45 grand. Of course, that's a base trim plus options. It's going to push you well into the $50,000 territory. That's kind of where a lot of these big trucks are playing at, is they're going to be in the $60,000 to $70,000 range. My particular test truck here, of course, with all the options that it has, stickers for an as-tested price, of just over $86,000. That's right, almost 90 grand. And keep in mind, the tungsten trim will push you over that $90,000 mark, which again makes this one of the most expensive trucks out there, which does again hurt the sales of the Ram brand. I think that's the reason why their sales are down, is because the trucks are just so expensive. They do have like a $4,000 incentive right now in November 2024 as of this filming, so it does help bring the price down. But again, if you guys are looking for the ultimate in terms of luxury, ride quality, and handling balance, the biggest screen, the best engine, the best performance, the Ram 1500 is definitely still my pick. Just be sure you're okay with paying that extra pretty penny when it comes time to take delivery of this thing. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 in this top limited trim. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.